And welcome to the Gone Traveling Podcast, episode 18, where we are looking at the BKT EuroCup, the road to greatness. We're looking at round 15, and we is Sergio Llebres and myself, Sergio, over in Valencia. How you doing?
Hi, David. Hi, everyone. I'm good. I hope you all guys are good. Round 15, and we're getting to the final stage of the regular season. And it seemed like last week was round 5 or 6 or something like that. And time flies because weeks pass by and you don't even notice. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's and it was an impressive week. I
Again,
think we were even saying last week, how great, how thrilling round 14 was, and that round 15 probably
yeah.
wouldn't match it. And of course, it did. We had some fantastic games. Three rounds left, and there's 8 teams vying for the 6 playoff spots in Group A, and really, in theory, 7 teams for Group B. I guess you can still kind of say Elite Cabela's is in there, but for all intents and purposes, they are kind of out of it. They do play later today, day of recording, Thursday, in the makeup game against Cedevita. But yeah, so let's delve into it. Before we, usually we just have our 3 and 3. But I did want to talk just really briefly about Toto Forray. Trento becoming the all-time leader in games played at 145, surpassing Rafa Martinez's mark of 144. Playing 9 years in the EuroCup, he played 2008 to 2019. How many of those games did you see? Obviously, with being in Valencia.
I, I I don't know, maybe one or two because in EuroCup times it's tough to go always to La Fonteta. But yeah, Toto Forray is a classic from being in the second division of Italy to be the player with most participations in EuroCup. Matching with Sergio Yul in in EuroCup in EuroLeague this year. So we have 2 records.
Yeah, he's not going to hold it that long though.
Yeah,
Anthony Lamb said afterward he hopes that Ferre will keep it forever. Alan Olmich, who was 6 years younger at 32 of Buducnost, pulled even with Martinez later in the
yeah.
day. He's at 144, and Cherna's at 138, and he's only 34 as well. So once he hangs it up, I have a feeling Olmich is going to probably pass him pretty quick, and probably Sherman as well. So, but yeah, that game actually is funny because you see Foray and everything, the legacy that he's built, and then you see Mario Macchetti come in, third youngest player in Euro Cup history, 15 years, 9 months, and 1 day, only two players younger. Stefan Petkovic of Benetton Fribourg back in 2007, and Nicolas Veslio from Prometheus 2020. So third youngest player. So we saw plenty of history in that game, but it really wasn't that great of a game. Interesting of a game. Trento, kept up there, kept alive their playoff chances with the win over Ulm, but not one of the games we want to talk about. One of those is the comeback. Buducnost winning 84-83 and a huge game for them over Tel Aviv. That's the game you want to talk about. So go ahead.
Yeah, with this victory, Buducnost places in the sixth seed in Group A. They have now a 7-8 record, and while Hapoel remains at fourth, the Israelis have secured a postseason berth despite the loss because there are many few rounds to play. But yeah, it was a thrilling encounter here in Morocco Arena. Buducnost was 13 points in the second down in the second half, and they scored a 10-1 run in the final minute. So it was incredible. And for me, Rashid Sulaiman was prolific with 19 points. but also McKinley Wright. I don't know if we talked about him in this show, but he was also very good with 11 points and 6 assists. And yeah, and then Jamar Smith, a data that many could not even know that he's now the fourth all-time scoring in EuroCup with almost 100 and 1,400 points. And yeah, this was a special win for them, and also important because of the playoff run. There are still two places if I'm not wrong, in Group A, and with this secured ticket for Hapoel Tel Aviv. And yeah, with this win, Buducnost have strengthened their playoff hopes, but I don't know with this type of competition, and also with these thrilling rounds we have every week, how it's gonna end. Because if you look up the standings in Group A, Buducnost, they got a great win, and maybe I didn't expect this win. They were at home. Everything has to be said. But Joventut also, we will talk about them later, won, and Wolves are now 7-8 after the loss. So there's a four team battle for two places, or three places, sorry. So it's gonna be very fun. Yeah.
I don't know if actually Tel Aviv is actually through yet, because I mean even Joventut can get to 9 wins. So if Tel Aviv actually lose out, they could still be in a tiebreak for them. But that's I mean it's just Buducnost, huge win,
Mhm.
but right behind them is still Joventut. We'll talk about them later. They're only a game now back. Um,
Incredible.
this
Incredible.
is this is one of those games that you go back and you're like, okay, Buducnost is going to win this game, right? But how do they win it? We had one of these games a few episodes ago where you actually go back and you watch the highlight, you watch the replay of the game, and you're like, wait a minute, how do they win this game? And this is one of those to do. We've talked about those in the past. I can't remember right now which one that was, but go back and watch the final 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever,
Mhm.
and no, Buducnost is going to win the game. How do they do it? So. Yeah, that was definitely one of those. My game that I want to talk about is right in that group and right in that amazing playoff race, and that is Besiktas knocking off Wolves 79-77. Yeah, I mean, Besiktas just looked totally out of it. They went scoreless for more than 7, almost 8 minutes to start the second half. Fell behind by 11 points. It was a tie game at halftime. It was a tight game. Nobody was really able to do anything, get much of a lead. And then Besiktas just kind of chipped away at it, and chipped away at it, chipped away at it. Wolves would hit a couple of shots here and there, but a massive game by Jonah Matthews, who we've talked about in the past on this show, and 27 points, 1 point off his career high. Berk Ergulu, huge, 3 3-pointers. And yeah, they pulled it out. Besiktas 8-7 now, and right now in the sixth spot. One game behind Tel Aviv and Eve, one game ahead of Buducnost, Wolves, and Badalona. The one negative part, I guess, if you will, or one positive for Wolves, if you will, is that Wolves actually still hold the tiebreaker, because I think they won by double digit, if I'm not mistaken, in the first matchup of these teams. So that is an advantage for Wolves, at least. So if they can get tied with them, but I mean now we're looking at some of those point differentials are going to definitely come into being critical.
Yeah, and Wolves was winning by 6 with 5 minutes left, and they let the game slide. So the
I would say
positive,
Besiktas took it. I
yeah,
really would say Besiktas took it.
yeah, with
Uh, Especially Matthews. He had that big,
exactly.
once they took that lead, they came up with some big plays to get the win.
Yeah, and also they were very efficient from the free throw line in the final minutes with also Jonah Matthews. So they didn't miss anything. So yeah, bad luck for Wolves. But the positive thing, as you said, is that they have the tiebreaker. So that's a mini plus point for them.
Yep.
And
Go ahead, sir.
yeah, no, I wanted to talk about my star player of the
Yep. Let's stay
of
in Turkey. Let's stay in Istanbul.
stay in Turkey. Yeah. For me, Jaleen Smith, there's no discussion here because if we were talking about comebacks, this comeback is crazy because Bahcesehir secured a victory to maintain them in the top seed, and now they have the first place secured. So Truffle support started very well. They needed they really don't need it anything now from victories because if you guys remember the first win was in the 14th round. So Truffle support has nothing to say right now in the season, but they started very strong against the first seed Bahcesehir, and Jaleen Smith was the main guy, a guy that comes from EuroLeague level basketball, and he won for 39 PIR, and yeah, Smith delivered an MVP level performance, 25 points, 9 rebounds, key baskets in the grant. He also showed how he can score in different levels, and we got to see another good exhibition by him. He got back-to-back triples in the fourth quarter, and he's got 59 points in the last 3 games, and he's been regular this season scoring, but now he has stepped up for Bahcesehir. And yeah, and also a name that I cannot forget is Tayo Diase. He's doing a great season in EuroCup. He contributed this time with 20 points, and also he had a great defense in the paint. And yeah, Trevor Support started with 7 triples out of 11. The first 11 three-pointers, 7 went in to build a 18-point lead. It's incredible. So that this although they have a less level, this talks about how dangerous Bahcesehir is, and also for these playoff stages that are coming now, that they can surpass their rivals, even though they have a deficit. Bahcesehir made a 43-25 run, and that's amazing. So props to them, and also Jaleen Smith that he's showing his best level now.
Yeah. I interviewed him for the website. There's a feature coming up on him Friday for the website, and last 7 games he's averaging 15 points is Jaleen Smith, and two 4 free throws in the final 11 and a half seconds to clinch the game. Had 30. He was the MVP of the league uh last round,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I imagine 39 probably is. I probably should have looked. 39 probably number one for this week as well. And Badgesias obviously, and one of the things that he said, one of the things that he said was, we're not playing hero ball. It's a bunch of EuroLeague players that just know how to play, just know how to function at the end of the game, and just do what needs to be done, whoever that is. And Jaleen Smith has really stepped up, and so with Badgesias, really being one of the top teams in the competition, I wonder if we kind of need to start saying Jaleen Smith might be the MVP of the league. I mean, we didn't talk a lot about Harper. That's one thing that the two of us, really haven't been talking very much about.
Mhm.
Harper, over in Jerusalem, he's been talked about a lot, and they're right now on the third seed there. But maybe he has at least, one of the things about these teams, just like Valencia, we've talked about Valencia, who's going to be the MVP of Valencia if they win it. Ojale, you kind of said, was kind of like the guy, but we haven't really mentioned Bahcesehir, but Smith is kind of emerging now as maybe that guy. That's what I mean. I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, maybe he's stepping up now, and this is a detriment for him. This is a handicap for him because now Bahcesehir has their place secured in the playoffs, and they don't have to play that hard to for this final.
But I still think that they would love to have that first round,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
home court advantage. With
yeah. That with
Valencia.
Valencia. Yeah.
Maybe somebody trips Valencia up because of all the fighting that they have to do in the ACB. Not saying that the Turkish league is an easy ride, but they still do have something to play for. But just here, that first place in the overall top seed. Um, yeah. Yeah, my guy is actually the game of the week. I think, we had the two thrillers, but I think the most important game of the week was probably Joventut winning at Gran Canaria 83-77. Joventut's first victory over Gran Canaria in the EuroCup. They beat Gran Canaria about 2 weeks ago in the ACB. 3-1 now in their last four, and if you include the ACB, 9 of 10 victories, and 13 points came from the 30-year-old Canadian Cassius Robertson, who we've kind of mentioned Devon Dotson a little bit, obviously Sam Decker and Antti Tomic, but Cassius Robertson's not a guy we've talked about very much, and so he's got 16 points in the last 6 games in the EuroCup, and he's at 19.6 points in the last 5 games in the ACB. And he's really hot from the outside in the EuroCup in those 5 games, hitting 60% from 3-point range with 2.53 threes made. In the ACB, 4.4 threes made per game at a 56% clip. This is a guy who played with Valencia in the EuroLeague last season. This is his first EuroCup season. Canadian national team guy, played in 10 games at the Basketball World Cup America qualifiers, almost 12 points per game, 10 games in the qualifiers. And, probably felt a little bit of a snub not being able to get to go to Asia for the World Cup, where, of course, Canada finished third. Yeah, Cassius Robertson, a guy we haven't talked about very much. Massive victory for Joventut to stay alive in that race. 6-9, just one victory behind both Buducnost and Wolves.
Yeah, Cassius Robertson, we gotta remember that he was the top scorer of the ACB in 2022 or 2023, and then Valencia signed him because of that, because they needed a scorer. He wasn't very very efficient, or he didn't have the best opportunities behind Alex Mumbrú, the national team coach for Germany now, and that's one of the reasons that he couldn't go to China also, to the World Cup. Sorry, so um, it's crazy how he's been making himself again a name in the EuroCup, and it's not a coincidence that the good results of Joventut come with these scoring numbers from him. He didn't have any game lower than 50% from 3-point line, besides this last one with 1 out of 3, 1 for 3 in triples against Gran Canaria for the last, I don't know, 5 games, 5 rounds in the EuroCup. So he's showing his real level, and he's also showing that he can score from the 2-point line, from the 2-point range. something that maybe last season was missing from his game, and now he's an all-around menace for scoring. And yeah, he's got 30 points in the last two games, and he's been the key guy in the offense besides Tomic and Decker, as you said. So also you gotta give him his flowers, and you did really really good mentioning him, because maybe he was uh, in the wave 2 seasons ago, but now I feel like he's been forgotten when he's a great player and he's in his 30s, so he's got a lot to offer.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's good to see. I mean, I remember him back in Bayreuth, even before he went to Italy and Spain.
Yeah.
All right, your surprise guy.
Yeah,
One of the well, he's the only player that we'll mention that was a loser on the day,
yeah,
but a
I
guy that
know.
we wanted to talk about, and I'll let you go.
I was obviously I watched every Valencia game, as you guys know, but there's one guy that hasn't surprised me the most live, and also in the second time from the television. That is Martynas Varnas. Although Lietkabelis lost, you gotta see that game to assure that Lietkabelis has something to do with Valencia, because it's a different team from what we have seen this season from Lietkabelis. They play so aggressive. They are prolific from the 3 point line, and in especially Martynas Varnas in the first win that we can say that Lietkabelis has been the most annoying team for Valencia this season, and I think we gotta give them credit for that, despite although they lost, because it's not easy. And Martynas Varnas was the main guy in the two games Lietkabelis played against the Pedro Martinez guys, and in this loss he got 19 points, 4 for 5 in 2 pointers, 3 for 5 in threes, 5 assists, 4 steals, 25 PIR, and the last in the first game, he got also 21 points. He got another 6 steals, so he got 6 steals in 2 games against Valencia, 40 points, 8 for 10 in 2 pointers, and I think he's got the best games this season against Valencia, and we gotta mention him because, as I've been saying, it seemed another player and they seemed another team. How aggressive they played, and with this win, talking about the game, this win elevated Valencia to 13-2, and as we mentioned earlier, this is like a mini race with an very important race, but a mini race with Bahcesehir from the other group, to see how's the top seeded team in absolute terms. Uh, and yeah, this guarantees them the home court advantage in the single elimination quarterfinals. And they won't play the earlier round. So Lietkabelis now has 4-10, almost impossible for them to reverse the situation in playoff terms. And the guy was Semi Ojeleye. He scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. Ojeleye has been very, very bad, we gotta say it, for the last month, defensively, and also he didn't scored the way he always does, and he exploded alongside with Chris Jones and Montero. So yeah, Lietkabelis fought. They were up for by 2 or 3 points in the third quarter, but with Ojeleye scoring 14 points in a 14-2 run or something like that, it was incredible. He sealed the game. And as I said, I was very, very surprised by Martynas Varnas. Yeah, a great player.
I mean, he's a guy that you know, he came up. He was really a star of the Lithuanian
Yeah.
youth national teams, and never really has gotten a chance to play with the national team at all since the under 20s. He played 2 years under 20s,
Mhm.
and really hasn't had a chance to play, even though he's been a regular, consistent performer really throughout his career. Also staying at home in in Lithuania, but never really getting a chance to show what he can do on the big stage. And maybe his two monster performances against against Valencia, maybe that's hey, maybe we should take a look at this guy. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, we call this a surprise, and it's not really a surprise. Is Sasu Salin. I really wanted to talk about Cluj beating Reyer,
Yeah.
a 88-77 victory to sweep Reyer, and we've talked about Simpson, and obviously Simpson had a massive game with his 25, 6 and 7, PIR of 36. But I wanted to talk about Salin. He's actually someone we brought up during the Christmas show, that I wanted, them to get a consistent, the old Sasu Salin that Spain had seen for feels like a decade.
Yeah.
And he was 4 of 8, had two threes in the final 4 minutes, including really the dagger with 42 seconds. Also had a big defensive rebound and a hustle play on defense to in those closing minutes to get the win. 4 of 8 on threes, 12 points in the big win. And one of the things that this kind of allows us to also talk about Reyer is that we were like you know overflowing with praise of Reyer, and 6 of 7 victories. Um, don't look now; they're actually outside the playoffs. That's how crazy this playoff picture is.
Yeah.
With really just this one victory, they're actually now down in seventh. It's a three-way tie with Cluj, as well as Borg, who we didn't mention, but they had a easy victory over Aris. But that being said, and this just goes to show how crazy this playoff race in Group B is. They're outside the playoffs right now, but they are only one game behind second place.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know what Cedevita is going to do against Lead Cabela's. Let's say Lead Cabela's wins, then there's one game separating places 2 to 7. Let's look forward to the last 3 weeks of the last 3 rounds of the regular season.
The last round of the regular season is going to be a final and a real battle. I can imagine. I cannot imagine how it's gonna be the picture in Group A, but also Group B. We are thinking that Group A is the one that gives us the most competitive standings because of the playoff run. Maybe it is more determined in Group B, but as you are saying, there are like 6 teams that are almost tied. It's impossible to, and considering, as you said, Litkabel is Cedevita's game, so I cannot bet for any position right now in Group B. I cannot imagine.
Yeah, you can.
No,
First place. First place.
only first place. Yeah. Yeah.
One of
But-
those teams is not going to make it. One of those teams is not going to make it,
yeah, and I
I
cannot
no
imagine.
idea if I was a betting man, I'd probably put Borg out of it. Sorry, Borg fans. I would probably say it's going to be them, but you know, definitely, this is the reigning runner up from last season. All right, We are gonna maybe get a little bit of clarity next week, next round, because we have a lot of really big matchups as you know you all the rest of the remaining weeks are gonna have. Um, Before we look at round 16, anything that you want to go back in this week?
No, let's go for round 16. I think we rounded up very well.
All right, what are you looking forward to for the Sweet 16 round?
Well, as we were saying that the standings were very competitive. Maybe I would say maybe you also would say that game. I don't know. The ratiopharm against Buducnost. Watching how Buducnost won and how Ulm lost. They have their particular races or battles. Ulm maybe wants to be in best position in the standings. Also, they have to secure the postseason ticket. And Buducnost, with this victory, knowing that Wolves have the tiebreaker, they must win to get those points. So for me, that's a very interesting game. Interesting game, yeah. Ulm
Yeah,
Buducnost,
I mean, there's so many games.
yeah.
Cluj 8-7, Turk Telekom 9-6, Joventut 6-9, Trento. That's a must win for Joventut. They cannot afford to lose against Trento. You have Wolves Gran Canaria. You have Tel Aviv, Bahcesehir. You have Borg, Cedevita. You have Reyer and Jerusalem. I mean, there's all of these games have massive, massive, massive playoff implications with both teams involved, other than Trento, and other than Bahcesehir, who pretty much are clear as far as first place. I don't see them falling back to Gran Canaria. So other than those two games, everybody has playoff implications for both. Gran Canaria over in Wolves. Wolves need the win, and Gran Canaria want that win because they want to get into that second spot. They don't want to give Tel Aviv or Ulm a chance to go grab that second spot. So I have a feeling we're gonna have a tough time looking at only 6 games to talk about next week. Anything else? Anything else you wanna drop? You wanna talk about?
Let's stay focused on Lietkabeli Cedevita game. That is the first thing now, and I can wait for round 16. This is going to be crazy. I cannot imagine the playoff bracket. So I'm very intrigued, really.
And one thing to consider is point differential because of all these close games,
Yeah,
all these standings. Make sure you take a look at what the games were before. Who owns tiebreakers over which teams. And if a team loses, if a team is winning, don't be surprised if any of these teams win that we just talked about are winning by like 6 or 7 or 8. Don't be surprised if they just keep going, and don't let up because they know these point differentials. Who knows with whom you're gonna be in a tiebreaker, and that point differential might be crucial. All right, Sergio, tell everybody where they can find you on the social medias.
yeah. My username is Llebres11, Lebres 11. Also in Blue
And
Sky. Yeah.
also on Blue Sky, and I am on both active on both Twitter and Blue Sky, and that is Hein News, HEINNEWS. This has been episode 18 of the Gone Traveling Show, where we are looking at the BKT EuroCup, the road to greatness. Only 3 rounds left. We will talk to you next week.